Before you invest, I have some tips for you. Huwag muna kayong magmadali. So before you invest, the first thing that you should do, that I suggest you do, is to start with your why. Ano ba ang goals mo? Ano ba yung mga gusto mong marating sa buhay? Ano ba yung mga gusto mong ma-acquire? Gusto mo bang magkaroon ng ganitong bahay? Do you want to have your own sports car? Do you want to travel with friends? Do you want to travel around the world? Or gusto mo bang magkaroon ng dream wedding mo in the beach or saan man? So start with your why, and I suggest that you write it down. Get a piece of paper and pen at isulat mo lahat ng gusto mong ma-achieve sa buhay, lahat ng gusto mong ma-acquire. Kasi sabi nga ng studies, those who write their goals are 40% more likely to achieve their goals. And when you make or you write your goals, make sure that they are SMART. I'm sure you have heard of this. So try to write specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals. Next, make a budget. Your budget, it's your spending plan. Take note of your income and list all your expenses. Doon pa lang, malalaman mo na how much income you have and how much is going out. Kasi pag meron kang budget, it gives you control over your money. If you don't have a budget, you let your money control you. At minsan, kung wala tayong budget, gastos lang tayo ng gastos, and bago pa dumating yung next sweldo, ay ubos na, or nangungutang na tayo, or kini-credit card na natin yung mga expenses natin. So it's very important. This is the basic and this is the foundation of personal finance, making a budget. Ako personally, this is how I make a budget. These are my main categories. First is sharing. 10% of my income goes to tithes. I believe that everything that I receive, everything that I have belongs to the Lord. That's why I give back 10% of what I earn back to the Lord. Kasi alam kong mas mabibless pa ako. Alam kong what I have, it's not mine. I'm just a manager, but I'm not the owner. So I give back to God what belongs to Him. Second is saving. I save at least 10% of my income. I set it aside for saving, short-term savings, and for future investments, for the things that I want to have in the future. Kailangan nating magtabi kasi 'di ba kahit nga sa yung mga ants, nag-iimpok na sila, 'di ba? Nag-iipon na sila, they save something for the rainy days. So the same with us. Try to save at least 10% of what you earn, of what you make for the rainy days. Next, 80% for spending. So these are the 3 S's: sharing, saving, and spending. Yung spending, try to live within that percentage na inallot mo for spending. So sabihin natin you're earning 10,000. 80% of that is 8,000. Sabihin mo, ang konti kasi, hindi na kaya. Pero try to live within your means. Kung 80% is for your spending, maybe you need to cut some of your expenses, or kung kulang pa rin, try to find a way to earn more. Baka pwede kang magkaroon ng side hustles or sidelines, or pwede kang magbenta ng mga baked goods. Try to be creative. I know there's always a way kapag gusto mo talaga. Meron din ako mga budgeting printables, expense tracker, kasi it's very important that you keep track of your expenses. Every day, ako personally, kasi I'm a mom and a wife, I take note of all my expenses. Lahat ng ginagastos namin every day. Kung bumili ng pandesal or kahit ano or eggs, sinusulat ko yan. Kasi at the end of the month, I don't want to keep guessing saan ba napunta yung pera? Bakit konti na lang or bakit nag-short? If you keep track of your expenses, you know exactly where your money is going. Next is build an emergency fund. At least 6 months worth of expenses. So iba sasabihin, 6 months parang ang dami, ang laki naman nun, hindi ko kaya ng ganon. Something is always better than nothing. Kung hindi mo kayang mag-build ng 6 months worth of expenses for your emergency fund, start with something that you can afford. For example, kung 500 pesos lang ang kaya mong i-save for your emergency fund, mas okay na yun kesa sa wala. And why 6 months? 3 to 6 months, yan ang usual na ina-advise ng mga personal finance experts or personal finance advocates. Kasi hopefully by 6 months, kung nawalan ka man ng job or nagkaroon ng emergency, after 6 months siguro naman mababawi mo na or magkakaroon ka na ng panibagong income or ng savings. Pero let me share with you my experience. 2 years ago, my husband lost his job. At okay lang naman kasi nakapag-save up kami 3 months worth of emergency fund. So first month, okay pa kami. Meron pa kaming pambayad ng bills, meron pa kaming for food and expenses and other things. So okay naman kami. Second month, hindi pa rin siya makahanap ng work. Meron pa rin kami. So we're still covered. Thank you na lang at meron kami emergency fund. Third month, wala pa rin job. At kami naman kinakabahan na kasi konting-konti na lang ang natitira sa aming emergency fund. And guess what? Umabot ng 10 months, hindi siya nagkaroon ng work. Unfortunately, naubos yung aming emergency fund. Nagkaroon kami ng utang. We had to use our credit cards. We had to borrow money from other people because nagkapatong-patong na yung expenses. So if you're asking, pwede bang 3 months na lang? Nasa sa'yo yan. It depends on your situation. It depends kung anong klaseng work meron kayo. Kasi for my husband, he's a freelancer. Minsan hindi talaga madali ang makahanap ng bagong work or meron pang mga kailangan gawin para makahanap ng bagong work. So kung kaya, 6 to 12 months worth of expenses for your emergency fund. Lalo na ngayon, nagka-pandemic, ang daming nawala ng work, ang daming nag-close na businesses, ang daming apektado. Marami akong kakilala, marami akong family members, marami akong friends na nawalan ng work. Kung hindi sila nakapag-build ng emergency fund prior to that, what will happen? Diba? Yung iba nangutang, yung iba hindi alam kung saan kukunin yung next na panggastos, and worse, yung iba nadidepress, nawawala ng pag-asa because hindi nila napaghandaan. And emergencies, these are unexpected. Hindi natin ine-expect na mangyayari. Pero it's not just a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Mangyayari at mangyayari yan. An emergency fund, hindi lang yan job loss. It can be car repairs. Kung meron kang car, pwedeng masira yung makina or kailangan palitan yung battery. So you have to save up something for this kasi it can be considered as emergency fund also. Medical emergencies. Minsan may mga kailangan kang tulungan. Hindi man ikaw, halimbawa family member na ospital, kailangan mong maglabas or mag-share ng money. If you don't have an emergency fund, paano ka makakatulong? Paano ka makakapag-share? And home fixes. Kailangan mong magpaayos ng aircon, nasira yung washing machine or whatever. So it's very important talaga na meron tayong emergency fund. Next is set up a sinking fund. This is your short-term savings. Ako personally, I set up a sinking fund for our expenses for the coming year. I list down everything that we pay during the year. So nagsistart ako from January, February hanggang December. Ano ba yung kailangan naming bayaran ng January? Ito, New Year. So, kailangan maghanda. So, kailangan meron kang budget for that. Next, April, kailangan magbayad ng life insurance. May, kailangan magbayad ng car insurance. June, tuition fee. December, Christmas. Birthday ni husband or birthday ng anak mo or birthday mo. So, ito yung mga expenses na darating at darating yan. Kahit ayaw mong paghandaan, darating at darating yan. And when you are not prepared, if you haven't set up a sinking fund, doon ka na masistress. Paano ko babayaran to? Saan ko kukunin yung pambayad ng car insurance? Tuition na naman ni Bunso or tuition na naman ng anak ko? Saan ko to kukunin? Huwag ka munang magmadaling mag-invest because there are things na kailangan mong paghandaan before ka mag-invest. You have to be prepared. You know why? Kasi kapag nag-invest ka kagad, meron kang na-set aside na 10,000. Marami tayong naririnig niyan, di ba? Uy, meron akong 10,000. Saan ko kaya to pwedeng i-invest? If you do that, na-invest mo siya sa Forex or sa stock market or sa Bitcoin or kahit saan man, tapos bigla kang nagkaroon ng emergency. Mayroong kakailangang bayaran. Anong gagawin mo? Some of you might have to pull out yung investment from the stock market kahit na half na lang yung value niya dahil lugi. Or some of you might have to borrow money from other people or credit card na lang muna. So, mangungutang ka na naman. Unlike kung napaghandaan mo muna or nag-set up ka muna ng emergency fund, pwede kang kumuha dun sa emergency fund. Kung nag-set up ka muna ng sinking fund, pagdating ng bayaran ng tuition fee, hindi ka na nagtatanong, saan ako kukuha ng pan-tuition ng anak ko? So, mayroon ka nang nakaset up for that. And it works like this. For example, ako, yung sa tuition ng daughter ko, halimbawa lang 10,000 pesos yan. What I do is, I save or I set aside 2,000 per month for 5 months bago pa dumating yung bayaran ng tuition. Why? Para hindi mabigat. January pa lang, nag-ipon na ako. Pagdating ng May, buo na yung 10,000. Pagdating ng June, bayaran na ng tuition. Meron na akong pa-tuition. Hindi na ako nangangarag, credit card na lang natin. O kaya naman, manghiram muna tayo or utang na lang muna or promissory note na lang muna. So this is how sinking fund works. Bago ka mag-invest, kung meron ka pang mga utang, bayaran mo muna yan. Kung kaya mong bayaran agad-agad, bayaran mo muna yung utang before you invest. Kung hindi naman kayang bayaran agad, maybe it's a huge amount of debt, mag-set up ka ng debt payment plan kung paano mo siya mababayaran in, let's say, 12 months. Pwede mo namang pagsabayin, pero para sa akin lang yun, pay off that debt. Para wala ka nang iisipin. Kasi sabi nga dito sa Proverbs 22:7, just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. Ang sakit sa ulo 'pag may utang, eh, nakaka-stress, sobrang nakaka-stress. I don't know kung nagkautang na kayo or narinig niyo yung parents niyo na may utang, to stress, paano babayaran ganito. Pero may advice, kung kaya naman, try niyo na lang i-avoid magkautang. Huwag na kayo makisabay sa iba na bumibili ng mga bagong gadgets kung hindi naman kaya. Pero kung kaya, okay lang naman. Pero as much as possible, try to avoid debt, and if you have debt, pay it off as soon as possible before you start investing.